Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. The Humans Said No, written by Sjan Bartson. Jax sweated as she finished her last set of squats for the day. She'd gotten used to the centrifuge. Everything outside had spinning wildly, while her bones and muscles got the reminder of what gravity was like. Why couldn't this device have included instructions for artificial gravity, she wondered. She made sure to towel down thoroughly before shutting off the centrifuge. Her first time working up a sweat on it, and she'd shut it down right away and ended spending the next 4 hours chasing after floating drops of sweat before they could damage any of the electronics. Jax tore open the cleaning cloth and wiped herself down, removing sweat and dead skin cells that could be hazardous to the delicate electronics. The cloth captured all of the moisture and, when placed in recovery, wrung it out and purified and recycled. By this point, she was sure that she was drinking the stored water of the 3rd or 4th time. When the device was first discovered, a 5-year-old Jax had no idea that they'd uncovered its secrets in her lifetime, even less of a clue that she'd be the one picked as ambassador. Why me? She asked herself often. The committee had made their choice plain. They needed a pilot with an understanding of politics. Not a lot of those around. As a colonel in the Air Force, she was on the verge of acceptance into NASA when her master's degrees in political science reared its ugly head. She'd been reassigned to the U.S. Space Force, strapped into this contraption, and told to go make a good case for humanity. Of course, that ignores the whirlwind tour through the halls of governance of nearly every major nation. The craft she piloted was built by a joint effort of NASA, JAXA, ECF, Roscosmos, CNSA, ISRO, and who knows how many multinational corporations. The controls were based on the F-39E that she flew in the Air Force. The engines, though, were something that you'd expect to come from the mad scientist's lab. And the box strapped down beside the bulkhead, the one that was in the device, was maddeningly resistant to any effort to figure out how it worked. So, here she was, currently traveling at, she checked the readouts, over 200 times the speed of light, and still accelerating at what would be somewhere in the range of 20 to 30 Gs. Here, inside the bubble, though, it was as though she was unmoving. Rather than think about it, she dressed in a soft, one-piece coverall that acted as an undergarments for her uniform and for her EVA suit. Not that she'd need to do an EVA, nor could she while she was traveling faster than light, but, just in case. And on takeoff and landing. Years of piloting made her aware of the most dangerous times for any flight, takeoff and landing. Everything between was gravy, unless someone was shooting at you. "Hey, Box," she said. "Yes, Jax." Its voice was flat and artificial. "How long did you watch Earth?" 1,104 rotations around the sun. "Rounding. Nice. Thanks for not telling me at the 14th decimal place this time. That's your rotations in Jupiter, Trojans. How about Earth years?" 13,096. "Nice, rounding up. You keep learning like that and I might have to name you." "I have no need for a name." Jack scrolled through her tablet, looking at the past lessons. "You say there are 22 member species in the Union." "As of the last update I received 97.5 years ago." "I wish you had pictures of them. The text is interesting, but it doesn't really say anything about what they look like." "If such pictures existed in my knowledge stores, I would send them to your tablet." "I know, Box. I know." She chuckled to herself in the monitor before recording her daily log. It wouldn't do to look anything less than thoroughly professional. Her hair didn't look too different than it had in Gravity, owing to the tight curls. She smiled, her single dimple on her right cheek making itself known. That's why they sent a black woman, she thought, so they don't have to look at crazy hair floating all over. Daily log, Colonel Jax Walker. On day 91. I should be reaching the gate in another 31 hours, give or take. I've been through the lexicon of the pronunciation practice enough times that I should be able to reasonably be fluent. There are some glaring omissions from the lexicon, however, putting me in a position where it's impossible to talk about certain concepts in their language at all. I'll do my best to get to the point across, but I feel like we might have to be purposely hamstrung in that regard. All systems are optimal, med shows I'm fine, with little muscle and bone density lost, to be expected. Walk her out. When the countdown showed that she was approaching the gate, she held her breath. Well, Vox, our gate worked. Let's hope that this one does too. If the gate didn't work the way they thought, she might just keep accelerating in a warp bubble until the fuel ran out. What happened then would be anyone's guess, as they were dealing with technology that used physics no human had yet deciphered. She watched the countdown clock and the estimated speed, 223 times the speed of light. The countdown clock hit 0, and the estimated speed did as well. No flash, no weird distortion, nothing. Just hanging in space near a massive station. Looks just like the picture, Jack said. Welcome to Command Station, the voice on the comms said in their language. Human vessel, first contact to Command Station. Permission to dock. Automated docking sequence begun. Do not attempt to pilot your vessel. Jack sat back and watched as the ship glided into the opening dock. The door shut behind her as soon as she felt the ship sit down. You guys have artificial gravity? She asked the squat box behind her. It would appear so, it said. Why didn't you share that with us? I do not have that in my knowledge, Stalls. Along with half your language. Jax was about to go on another rant about the lacking lexicon when the ship's doors opened and a machine of 4 legs entered. Greetings, Ambassador. We will go to the council chamber, it said in their language as it picked up the box. It is good that you brought a biological sample along. Biological sample? Jax asked. And it speaks our language. The machine turned its sensors around to face her. You may follow us. Jack stepped in front of the machine. You seem to be, mistaken. No word for that. She shook her head in frustration. I am the ambassador. That is the teaching machine. If the machine had any thoughts about that, it didn't voice them, but led her to the council chambers. Once inside, it placed the box on a pedestal that connected to the other machines in the chamber, and Jax's tablet chimed. She silenced it. Where are the other ambassadors? I was told there were 22 member species. These are the ambassadors, each dealing rationally for the best interest of their assigned species. The word she'd been searching for earlier came to her. You are wrong. This is wrong. I am the ambassador for the humans, and more are to come. Every nation wants to set their own deals, and not with a bunch of machines. That is not the way of things are done in the Union. If your species is to join, the ambassador machine will represent you. The council will give you some time to think it over. With that, the 4-leg machine unplugged the box from the pedestal and led her back to a ship, which locked itself shut once she was on board. Jack sat on the box. Did you know about this? I did, it said. I tried to explain it, but you kept on about human concepts. So, the Union is a collection of vassal states to whatever machine empire made you and the device. Each member is allowed to determine for themselves how to trade, govern, and wage war amongst themselves. The Union merely sets out the minimum rules for governance and handles trade between the species. Interspecies war is forbidden and has never happened in the history of the Union. 168,000 years of peace. When you're plugged in there, did you get updates from the other machines? Yes. Because you were curious, I sent images of the other 23 species to your tablet. One species has joined since my last update. I also sent all the data available on artificial gravity. I could find no further lexicon for our language. How about other languages? I did not access member languages except to upload the 93 Earth languages that I had acquired. I can tell you that there are 8,211 languages in the knowledge stores. When you get back in, and they plug you in, send me the top 2 most widely spoken languages for each of the other member species. And, if you can find their gate coordinates, send me that as well. Do you wish to learn more languages and navigation? Yes, I do.
Very well. It is my job to educate, uplift, and represent your people.
Jack spent the next hour lying on the cold metal floor. The gravity in the station wasn't full Earth gravity, but was close enough to feel comfortable. Even there, she was surprised at how much her back and joints missed the feeling. She was very nearly asleep when the box roused her.
They are returning.
Once again, she followed the machine to the chamber where the box was plugged in once again. Within a moment, she felt her tablet vibrate.
Has the ambassador been accepted?
The machine asked. I will speak, Jack said, but since your language lacks certain words, I'll be explaining in English. She waited for a moment. Since I know you all have it downloaded now, I'll begin. Jax pulled her tablet out and began scrolling through the pictures of the member species, doing her best to mask how uneasy some of them made her feel. I have here the pictures of the member species of this union, yet I see none of them represented here. What I don't see in these pictures or any of the text about the union and its members are the machines. All of you here claim to represent biological creatures without having anything to compare it to. Someone had to build the first machines, so is it one of the member species? The box there, the one that taught us your language and how to build a gate and how to get here, the one that invited humanity to join the union, doesn't know. While we are not averse to setting up diplomatic relations with machine intelligence, we are not the sort to blindly follow a machine built and controlled by we don't know who. She put the tablet back in her pocket. Humans will be meeting with the other members of the Union and will work on creating trade and diplomatic relations with them, one by one. We will not be vassal state or give up any part of the things for which your language has no words. Self-determination, political autonomy, the right to protest, the right to free speech, the right to make our own mistakes, and the right to correct them. At the very least, we will not give up the rights set forth in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and every nation may have other rights their citizens are entitled to. Citizens, another word you do not have. Not just an individual in a population, but a member of a nation-state entitled to the rights and subject to the responsibilities of that nation. Jax pulled the tablet out again and swiped through. She had the plans for artificial gravity, 41 languages, and the location of 23 more gates. Having the data that I need, I leave the box here with you. Our history, our physiological data, and petabytes of our art are included. We leave this as a gift to the machines and hope that you will share them with your member worlds. We are not perfect, and we will not hide that fact. You, ambassadors, though, must come to terms with the fact that, despite being machines, neither are you perfect. With that said, humanity will not be joining the Union. Jax spun on her heel and headed out of the chamber. She had almost reached the ship when she felt the powerful, mechanical claws close around her arm. You may not leave with the data that you have stolen from the Union, the machine said in perfect English. Jack sighed and handed the machine her tablet. She watched as it crushed the tablet and ground it to a fine powder. Arsehole. The machine released her. Your ship will be removed from the landing bay and autopilot, and a security ship will escort you to the gate. If humanity wishes to join the Union at a later date, you or another human may return to inform us of your decision. The security ship was the size of a skyscraper, bristling with weapons. 168,000 years of peace doesn't result in ships like that, she muttered to herself. Once she had passed through the gate and was accelerating on her way home, Jax opened the storage compartment above her sleeping hammock. She pulled out a tablet there and fired it up before sitting at the console. Daily log of Colonel Jax Walker on day 93. I think, I'm on my way back home. The gate works the way we thought. Joining the Union is a bust. The box was meant to be our ambassador and make all our decisions regarding trade and interspecies relations. That would also impose the Union's restrictions on our own laws, from a bunch of machines that don't understand basic rights. The Union is not a true union. It is a machine hegemony. Still, no data on who built them, on whether they were running the whole thing from the shadows. I lost a tablet to one of the machines. It ground it to powder. The backup works fine. The autosync worked perfectly. I'm coming back with more information about the other 23 member species.
their most widely spoken languages, and the location of their gates. As a bonus, I also have plans for artificial gravity. If the air gates can make heads or tails of it. All systems are optimal, med shows I'm fine. Walker out.
End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members. Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Onholtz, White Van 420, Lord Asrakal, Arcalian, and Oakfield.